Hey there, Alex here. This is a used Galaxy S21 that I recently purchased. I know the S22 is out now, and I was actually contemplating on whether I should get one or not, since it's a smaller flagship phone, which is usually my jam. But after having tried a few devices with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, I feel like the combination of that chipset and a smaller battery probably isn't the best idea. So when I came across this imported S21 with a Snapdragon 888 instead of the usual Exynos 2100, I decided to give it a try. So let's take another look at the S21 over a year later. First of all, the S21 is still a great looking phone, and I still maintain that it's better looking than the S21 Ultra. I like the camera bump design, and it still feels pretty solid in hand despite the plastic bag. But since plastic is easier to scratch, I would recommend using a skin or case if you want to keep the phone in tip-top condition. Since it has only been about a year or so, the S21 is naturally still a really competent device. The screen looks great in terms of colors, brightness, as well as how smooth it is. I've been using the Note 10 for a while now, so I really appreciate the flat display as well as the faster fingerprint sensor. I actually feel like the sensor performs better now than it did over a year ago, so my guess is that Samsung was able to improve it through software updates. Nowadays, I actually prefer ultrasonic sensors over optical sensors since they don't have to light up the screen to work, which can be a bit annoying in the dark. Performance is still excellent as well, and after spending some time with the Snapdragon 888 version, the experience is mostly quite similar to me for my type of usage. Maybe you'll notice the difference if you play a lot of graphically intensive games, but I don't. Even in terms of battery life, it's somewhat similar as well. Maybe it's slightly better on the Snapdragon version, but not by a large margin. I can still easily get through a full day of regular use with the phone, but it probably wouldn't last that long with a lot of gaming or camera use. Camera performance is not the best, but still really good. Apart from the limited telephoto range, both the main and ultra-wide-angle cameras are decent. I'll leave a link in the video description below to an album with everything I took using the phone, so you can check it out if you want to. What I really want to talk about here though is Samsung's camera app. Having a Pro Video mode built in is one of the main reasons I tend to prefer Samsung phones over other brands. I've actually simplified my setup these days, and my recent videos have all been shot on the Note 10. With the background and lighting that I'm using, the processing from auto mode typically messes up the colors no matter what phone I'm using, so having a Pro Video mode is essential to me. Not to mention as well that the interface is actually quite good. It's easy to use and has all the adjustments that I would need. Moving on, software experience is another reason why I tend to prefer Samsung phones these days. I know it's not exactly everyone's cup of tea, but I really like One UI. It has a cohesive and clean design language in my opinion, and it has a ton of customization options and features that I find really useful, like customizing how notifications look on the home screen, swiping down for notifications, double tap to sleep, taking a long screenshot, customize the file format of screenshots, as well as automatically removing the status and navigation bar, screen recorder, customizing the power button behavior, and many more. I especially like the battery care features that lets me turn off fast charging or stop the phone from charging above 85%. Considering that Samsung is even offering 4 major Android updates and 5 years of security updates for the S21, which is actually better than what Google themselves are offering at the moment, I think having features that can extend battery lifespan is more useful than faster charging. Anyway, I still remember that back in the days, Samsung software experience was often my least favorite part of their devices, but having used a ton of their devices over the years, they've been consistently getting better and better, to the point where they now have the best Android experience around in my opinion, and that's coming from someone who used to be a fan of stock Android. So kudos to Samsung for that. All in all, after using the S21 for a while, I've pretty much lost interest in getting the S22. I know it has a smaller form factor, glass back, and probably a bunch of other upgrades, but from other reviews I've seen for the phone, I don't feel like it's going to be worth the upgrade. Even for performance, with how limiting the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is in terms of power and thermals, especially on such a small phone, it's probably only a very minor upgrade over the 888 overall. So if you have the S21, I don't see a point in upgrading to the S22, and if you're choosing between these two devices, I think it's worth considering the older S21 if you want to save money and don't mind getting a used phone. After all, that's exactly what I did, and I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. Thanks for watching this video, and see you guys on the next one.